There's a plant growing in the cracks of your driveway right now that contains more omega-3 fatty acids than the fish oil supplement you just paid $40 for. It survives without water, without soil, without your permission. For 4,000 years, this plant fed entire civilizations. From ancient China to Greece to the Americas. Then, we turned it into public enemy number one. We created a $115 billion industry around its destruction. We convinced millions of people to poison it, while spending $60 billion annually on supplements containing inferior versions of what this plant offers, for free. This is the story of the weed that refused to die, and the industry that can't afford to let you remember its name. Welcome to Veiled Earth. 1969. The Island of Crete, Greece. Medical researchers arrived to investigate a mystery that baffled the scientific community. Why do these people have the lowest rates of heart disease in the entire developed world? They studied everything: olive oil, red wine, fish, Mediterranean vegetables. But there was something else. Something the old women gathered from their gardens every morning before sunrise. They called it Listrita. We call it Purslane. Portulaca oleracea. When lab results came back from the University of Minnesota, nobody believed them. This garden weed contained the highest omega-3 content of any green plant ever tested. Higher than most fish. The 1980 Eating 6 research paper was published, and then largely ignored. But 4,000 years earlier, someone in ancient Greece already knew. 1989. Archaeobotanists excavating a Bronze Age site in Santorini made a discovery that changed everything we thought we knew about ancient agriculture. They found carbonized purslane seeds, deliberately stored in clay jars alongside barley and lentils. Not weeds. Food. Food that was cultivated, harvested, preserved. This wasn't isolated to Greece. In the Ozark Caves of North America, 12,200-year-old purslane seeds were stored with squash and sunflower. In China, medical texts from 2000 BCE list purslane as a superior herb, cooling to the blood, beneficial for the 5 organs. They called it ma chi xian, the horse-tooth vegetable. The Hopi, Navajo, and Zuni peoples called it verdolaga. They ate it raw in salads, cooked it like spinach, used it medicinally for burns and intestinal ailments. Aboriginal Australians knew it as munyaru, gathering it for tens of thousands of years. So, how does a plant this useful, this ancient, this nutritious, become one of the most hated weeds in modern history? The answer begins with the lawn. Before we understand how purslane became the enemy, you need to understand what makes it unstoppable. Purslane is a succulent, jade-colored stems that sprawl across the ground. Small, paddle-shaped leaves, rubbery to the touch. Yellow flowers that bloom for a single morning, producing seed pods containing up to 50 seeds each. But the real genius is invisible. Purslane uses something called CAM photosynthesis. Most plants open their pores during the day to capture carbon dioxide, but that causes massive water loss. Purslane does the opposite. It opens its pores at night when it's cool, stores the carbon dioxide, then processes it during the day with everything sealed shut. This means it survives on just 2 inches of rainfall per year. Less water than Death Valley receives. Every stem fragment that touches soil, roots. Cut it into pieces. Each piece becomes a new plant. One plant produces 240,000 seeds. Those seeds remain viable in soil for 40 years. It thrives in pH levels from 4.5 to 8.0, grows in compacted dirt, tolerates heat up to 45 degrees Celsius. Scientists found it growing in Phoenix parking lot cracks, where ground temperatures exceed 70 degrees Celsius. This plant is built for the apocalypse. Now, before we reveal what's inside those leaves and why entire industries want you to forget this plant exists, if this is blowing your mind right now, hit that like button. Subscribe to Veiled Earth for more forgotten knowledge that changes everything. And turn on notifications, because what comes next in this series, you won't want to miss. Now, let's talk about what the supplement industry really doesn't want you to know. 2014. University of Texas researchers analyzed 47 fruits and vegetables, looking for powerhouse foods with the highest nutrient density. Purslane scored at the top. Dr. Artemis Simopoulos found 400 milligrams of omega-3 ALA per 100 grams of fresh leaves. Most fish oil supplements contain 300 to 500 milligrams per capsule. People pay $40 for 60 capsules. Purslane gives you the same amount in a handful of leaves. Free. But there's more. 7 times more beta-carotene than carrots. Highest vitamin E of any leafy vegetable. Betalain antioxidants usually only found in beets. Melatonin content 10 to 20 times higher than most vegetables. Rich in potassium, magnesium, calcium, iron. 93% water content. Hydrates while nourishing. One researcher called it a multivitamin you can grow in a crack in the sidewalk. So if a plant this nutritious exists, grows without human effort, survives drought and heat, why isn't it in every grocery store? Why isn't it taught in schools? Because you cannot sell someone something they can grow for free. And when free food threatens a $175 billion industry, that food becomes the enemy. The American lawn didn't exist before the 1950s. After World War II, the GI Bill financed millions of new homes. With them came a new ideology, the perfect lawn. Grass mowed short. Green. Uniform. No weeds. Purslane thrives in disturbed soil created by construction. New suburbs were Purslane paradise. In 1947, Scott's company began marketing herbicides to panicked homeowners. The chemical? 2,4-D, developed during World War II for biological warfare. After the war, chemical companies needed new markets. Lawns became the battlefield. Today, over 40 million Americans live in HOA communities with bylaws prohibiting noxious weeds. Purslane is often listed. You can be fined for allowing food to grow on your own property. Scott's Miracle Grow, now a $3.2 billion corporation, markets Weed Be Gone, with a Purslane photo and a red slash. For $25.99, you can poison the most nutritious plant on your property. The lawn care industry is worth $115 billion annually. It depends on enemies. Omega-3 supplements, $4.1 billion market. Vitamin E supplements, $1.8 billion market. Leafy greens market, $12 billion annually. Purslane offers all of this for free. The suppression has been so complete that most Americans under 40 have never heard the word Purslane. They've seen the plant everywhere, but they have no name for it except that weed. When you erase the name, you erase the knowledge. When you erase the knowledge, you erase the power. But here's what they don't want you to know. While Americans poisoned Purslane, the rest of the world never stopped eating it. In Greece, Glystrida has been eaten continuously for 4,000 years, blanched, dressed with olive oil and lemon. Simply food. In Turkey, semizotu appears in salads with yogurt and garlic. In Lebanon, bakle is standard in fattoush salad. In Mexico, verdolagas never disappeared, sold in every mercado, cooked with pork, scrambled with eggs. In China, maqixian is sold in markets, appears on menus, listed in medicine texts for 4,000 years. No interruption, no forgetting. What happened in America? Immigrant communities brought the knowledge, but their children wanted to fit in. Being American meant eating American food. By the 1960s, the break was nearly complete. Suburban children grew up with perfect lawns and zero knowledge of edible plants. But then in the 2010s, something unexpected happened. Urban foraging became trendy. By 2015, high-end restaurants in Manhattan featured Purslane on menus for $18 a side dish. The same plant growing free outside. Farmers markets began selling Portulagas for $4 to $8 per pound. By 2020, when the pandemic disrupted supply chains, foraging surged. Purslane identification videos got millions of views. Comments flooded in. "My grandmother used to eat this. I've been poisoning this for years. This grew in my backyard my whole life." The memory was returning. And here's why this matters now more than ever. We're entering agricultural collapse. The American West faces a mega drought, the worst in 1,200 years. California's Central Valley, which produces 25% of America's food, is fallowing fields. No water. Lettuce requires consistent irrigation and cool temperatures. As climate change intensifies, conventional greens become impossible to grow. But Purslane, built for this, survives on 2 inches of rain, thrives in 45 degrees Celsius heat, grows in degraded soil, requires no inputs, no irrigation, no fertilizer. In 2021, University of Arizona researchers highlighted Purslane as climate resilient, noting it may represent viable food in a warming world where water scarcity limits traditional crops. For 70 years, we spent billions poisoning a plant that could save us. Now, as the climate unravels, we realize the answer was always there, growing in the cracks, waiting. The knowledge was never lost. It was suppressed. Every person who learns Purslane is food becomes harder to control. Every person who stops poisoning their lawn threatens the lawn care industry. Every person who eats Purslane instead of buying supplements shrinks pharmaceutical markets. The industries profiting from your ignorance cannot survive your knowledge. So here's what you do. Learn to recognize it. Stop poisoning it. Harvest it. Eat it. Save seeds. Teach your children. Share with neighbors. Reclaim the name. The plant that feeds you without asking for anything. That's Purslane. That's the food they taught you to destroy. This knowledge is here, waiting in the cracks, growing wild, free. All it asks is that you remember. Next time on Veiled Earth, the tree the pharmaceutical industry tried to erase, that produces a painkiller stronger than morphine, growing in forests across America, hidden in plain sight.